Did you know that there was a referendum in Scotland a couple of weeks ago? Of course you did. Everybody did. So why did you know that there was a referendum? Other than the fact that it was all anyone had to talk about on the news for the past maybe 3 or 4 months? Because everyone that you knew, if you lived in Scotland, was talking about it. It was pretty much inescapable. Wherever you went, whatever you were doing with your time, whether you were at school, whether you worked, whether you were at university, whether you were just out at the shops, everyone was talking about the referendum. It got to the point where there were days where I would go and see my friends and we would talk about the referendum, and I would get home to have dinner with my mum and we would talk about the referendum, and then my dad and my brother would come in and we'd talk about the referendum. You'd jump onto Facebook to just message a friend. Your entire news feed was filled with posts about the referendum. It was something that you just absolutely couldn't avoid, and there were plenty of people who started to say they were absolutely sick of it. And to be perfectly honest, by the time that the referendum came around, I know for a fact that most people, myself included, were relieved that we were getting to a point where a decision was going to finally be made. However, having said that, one of the best things about this entire process was how vocal people got about it. People who had no knowledge or interest in getting any knowledge on the political system in the UK, or more specifically in Scotland, were suddenly really engaged. And that engagement came about because people were given access to information from lots and lots of different sources. There was such a wide spectrum of places that people could go to discuss and to debate and to get information. The only place that you were able to get your information wasn't just the news or the newspapers or the media. It was talking to friends, it was debating on Facebook, it was going on and finding out what other people's opinions were. Having said that, I am not saying for a minute that you are obligated in any way to discuss your political views on social media. In some cases, people took that too far, and it wasn't just sharing of opinions, it was getting nasty, and that's not what we want. But the fact that this was a platform that allowed for people to become engaged in something that they'd never been engaged in before and initiate some sort of change was really incredible. The voter turnout for the referendum was 84.5%, which broke UK records. That is pretty insane, considering that at the last UK general election in 2010, the Scottish voter turnout was 63.8%. I'm willing to bet that that change came around because everyone was talking about it. Ironically, this video actually isn't anything to do with the referendum. I'm just using that as a little pathway into talking about something else that I feel is incredibly important and that I felt I had to make a video about. If you are a fan of YouTube, if you are someone who's involved with the YouTube community, I'm sure that you know what's been going on over the past couple of weeks with regard to sexual abuse in the YouTube community. Several fairly prominent male YouTubers have been exposed to have been abusing their power as a YouTuber with a large following to coerce young girls into sexual situations that they were not comfortable with. I'm not going to actually go into any great detail about the specifics of this situation. I'm going to link in the description box below a blog post. It's a master blog post that has all of the information that you will need if you don't already know who's been involved in this and what has been revealed over the past few weeks, or actually the past few months, back towards the start of 2014 when the first few victims came forward. What I am here to talk about today is using your voice. Now, my little referendum story to start this video was really just a way of showcasing what can happen when people actually use their voice. I think that when it comes to things like gender inequality, that's something that I am so engaged in feminism, and something that I care so much about. And I talk to my friends so much about that, I never really stopped to think that it wouldn't just be obvious to people that this is a problem and that this is something that we really, really need to work on. Emma Watson's speech at the weekend was absolutely incredible at the UN when she discussed the He for She campaign. This is such an important campaign, and the fact that it touches on the aspects of male inequality just as much as it touches on the inequality faced by women across the world is really, really important. Watch Leena from Just Kiss My Frog's video the other day. I will link it in the description box. In fact, I'm going to link quite a few videos in the description box below where you can go to watch other people discussing this particular topic in a lot more detail than perhaps I'm touching on it, but there's some really, really great videos out there. I've watched a lot over the past few days, so I will link them all below. You can go and check them out. But Leena discussed the fact that it's been really surprising to see how many people have genuinely seen this speech from Emma Watson as this revolutionary new sort of thing. And when you are someone who cares so much about this already and has engaged and debated these issues with friends and on social media for a while, it does seem ridiculously obvious that this is a problem that needs to be addressed. Regardless of that, it's wonderful to see how many people have really engaged with this. And moving on from the Emma Watson speech back to the kind of YouTube abuse situation that we are dealing with at the moment, one really positive thing to have come out of what is an absolutely unforgivable and horrible situation is how many people have come forward to talk about this vocally, to say that they don't think that these people should be ever welcome in the YouTube community, and to really use their voice to spread to whatever size of audience they have, whether they have 10 million subscribers or 10 subscribers. People are talking about this and they are sharing information, and that is such a powerful thing. Back to the referendum, if we hadn't all been engaged in talking about the referendum, we would not have seen such a massive rise in the turnout for the vote. That's something that we have to apply to all areas of life. People seem to be frightened to talk about feminism because they think that it's a dirty word and that it means something that it doesn't, and that's something that really bothers me, and that's a topic for another video. But feminism at its core is just about equality for the sexes, for men and for women, equality for everyone. That is all that it actually means. It is not about man-hating, it is not about trying to supersede men and take control and have power. It's not. It's just about accepting that men and women across the world should be equally respected and given the same rights, no questions asked. What's happened in the YouTube community has been disheartening, but has also opened up what I think is a really important channel for discussion, and something that we have to take from the YouTube community and take out into the wider world. That is something that Leena's video touches on, and that video was a response to a couple of other videos that talked about that, about taking this into the wider world context. So this is what I'm trying to do with this video, is just encourage people to talk about this. There seems to be this feeling that you shouldn't talk about it because some people seem to think, well, it's not really my place, it's not really affecting me. It is. Gender inequality is everyone's problem, and as Emma Watson said at the end of her speech, she said when she thought about it, wondering whether or not it was up to her to do something about this, she thought, if not me, who? If not now, when? That is something that we should all take into consideration, because gender equality is your problem. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whoever you are, think about what sort of world you want to live in, and take this opportunity to talk about this in whatever way you want to talk about it. Write a blog post, post a status update on Facebook, make a video, just talk about it and get people talking about it. I know that at the end of the day we need to do more than talk when it comes to situations like this, but talking is what starts to initiate change. So get involved in the conversation in whatever way you want. We have so many platforms now: Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram. You know, we've got all of these platforms to allow us to talk about this, and you know, you might feel like your voice isn't really being heard. I know that I have, you know, nearly 400 friends on Facebook, and I can post a jokey BuzzFeed article that will get 3 shares and 20 likes. And I can post a really important article about feminism or a link to a video on gender inequality, and it will maybe be lucky if it gets 2 likes. That's a problem, and that's disheartening, but don't let it put you off. Don't let it make you feel like you're not making a difference, and keep using your voice to talk about these problems. The more you talk, the more likely it is that things are going to change. It's going to be a slow process, but just keep fighting for it. So that's all for this video. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. I know it was a little bit different to most of my regular videos, but considering I've been so engaged in this conversation over the past couple of weeks, and gender inequality and feminism is something that means as much to me as it does, I felt that I would be a hypocrite to not make a video on this subject, considering I have linked so many other people's videos on my Twitter account, which is linked below in the description box if you want to go and check that out. However, I will leave links to some of what have been my favourite videos so far on this topic in the description box for you to go and have a look at. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope that this has been interesting, and I hope that it encourages maybe some of you who have been a little bit worried about vocally engaging in this conversation to just get involved and talk about it and raise awareness, because it's a really important thing to do. So thank you for watching, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye!